It's good to have you here on a Monday on America's Voice Live. Do appreciate your support always when you're here. Well, the Supreme Court has been weighing in on some big cases as of late. The latest decision, Roe v. Wade, expected to be handed down sometime soon, but it didn't come out today. The Second Amendment, something the court is also taking up with laws around concealed carry in New York being at the center of the conversation this time. With me to discuss it is Rick Green, the founder of PatriotAcademy.com. Rick, good to see you as always. Now, we know in that draft report put out, penned by Samuel Alito, which has been given credibility, Roe v. Wade would get done. But it seems to me they're going to hold that to the very end and then run out of town, which is fine. They're going to overturn Roe v. Wade. It's almost pretty much a given at this point because the justices were not going to bow to some sort of dirty trick political pressure. So that's happening. Gun rights are likely to be expanded, despite what happened in Uvalde, Texas, and elsewhere. The court is going to rule in favor of gun owners and self-protection and the Constitution, something the Democrats can't stand, but here we are. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I would just change one word there. Instead of expanded, I would say restored, which is an expansion from where we are now. So you're accurate, but it's certainly where we should have been all along. The Constitution is very clear about this, and the founders were very clear about this. You've got on one hand the practical aspect of what's happening out there in terms of violence in the communities and mass murder in the community. And a gun is a way to stop that violence. Gun violence on the perpetrator is what actually stops the rampage and stops the carnage. And so we shouldn't be talking about less guns in the hands of law-abiding citizens. We should be talking about more guns and more training for law-abiding citizens. So that's the practical aspect. The founders certainly believed in that as well. That's why they said if you prevent the right to keep and bear arms, not just have them at home, but have them with you wherever you go so you can defend yourself, that if you do that under any color or pretext whatsoever, liberty, if not already annihilated, is on the brink of destruction. That's from the American Blackstone, St. George Tucker out of Virginia in the founding era. They had lots of quotes like that. John Adams talked about resistance to sudden violence. They talked about being able to stand against a tyrannical government. There's lots of reasons for the Second Amendment. And I think we've got a really good shot here at the court having a ruling that takes us back to the constitutional perspective of the right to keep and bear arms and self-defense. This case in New York, this Bruin case, is very similar to the Peruta case out of California a couple of years ago that Gorsuch and Thomas thought that they should have taken up then. And it's all about saying states don't have a right to say you've got to make a case for being able to defend yourself, that you have to be able to say there's somebody chasing me or there's a threat against me before I can carry a firearm. Even Justice Roberts said in the hearings, what are we doing permitting a constitutional right and requiring people to make a case for being able to exercise a constitutional right? So I'm hopeful. I think we've got a chance for a really good decision out of the Supreme Court here.
You know, we're going to see what happens, and obviously it is a big decision. I think the disappointment for Democrats in many respects is this. The Roe v. Wade, that leaked opinion. They thought it was going to move the needle and change the polling and change everything. And my gosh, they're just going to be hyper vigilant against Republicans. None of that has materialized because very strong pro-abortion forces, they're already part of the Democrat base. Didn't move a needle there. And what we're seeing across this country is a mass exodus of Hispanic voters leaving the Democrat Party because of their close ties to the Roman Catholic Church, their close ties to family, their opposition to this open border. We're seeing the biggest caravan ever materializing right now. They don't support that at all in this country. You look at the shifts toward Republicans by Latino voters in the last 4, 5, 6 years. It is remarkable. In Texas, in Florida, in Virginia, in New York, doesn't matter where you go, you find the same thing. Rick, they're in real trouble. I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, you know, Steve, you and I both have said this. They're making all the wrong bets on the border, on self-defense, on abortion. They've doubled down on these issues, and the American people are not with them. And you're right. The people that they had were already with them, and what they're doing is turning off the middle. They're championing of these ridiculous gender issues that the American people are also not down with. I think they have made all the wrong bets. They have fooled themselves, and if I could throw a little good book out there, Romans 1 says, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Boy, they sure profess themselves to be wise. But, Steve, I think they've been total fools, and the election's gonna give them a real wake-up call, I think.
All right. Well, I greatly appreciate that, Rick, as always, my friend. Rick Green, founder of PatriotAcademy.com.